Okay, welcome back to another live stream. Winston and I said we were going to do some more of these throughout this giant lockdown because basically it's an excuse for us to chat to you, keep you company, you can keep us company, and we can all be one big happy family and community, and we might run out of battle reports. So it gives us something else to do, and we can chat nonsense. And we thought today would be a really good idea because Games Workshop did their second big new release live stream on Twitch themselves. We thought, we could talk about that. Apart from there wasn't a lot to talk about, Winters, I don't think.
There's a lot of stuff that isn't 40k.
There was a lot of stuff that isn't 40k, which was...
I mean, I don't know if do you have it in front of you?
I don't at the moment, but I watched it, so I've got a
You
rough
watched
idea.
it, a whole hour of them releasing not a lot.
Well, last week I watched the 2 hours because they said they advertised it as their biggest release ever, and I thought, I need to watch this, and I watched 2 hours of it whilst I was at work, and it was a bit...
Yeah.
It was a bit meh. So I thought, well, it's all right, because
Right.
week two, they said it's a 2 week thing. Week 2 will be full of the biggest releases ever because week 1 wasn't, and it was a bit meh. And at the end of this stream, they said that they're going to have a week's break, and then not next week, but the week after, they're going to do another release one because they haven't yet finished all the releases they wanted to show at Adepticon, which I mean, if you'd have bought a ticket to Adepticon and this was the releases, you'd probably be pretty pissed off right now. It's not been a lot.
So we have AOS and Elves are worse than Eldar. We have Blood Bowl bits. We have some word bearers for Horus Heresy, and they're the worst Legion, and it's for the Horus Heresy, and who the hell plays that anymore? Middle Earth, something or other. I'm scrolling through. Oh, more Elves. So what's up with Elves? And then Angels of Death in Space, their new cartoon.
Yeah,
and
looks
then
okay.
we've got something about a squirrel. And then 2 characters from a novel, and right at the bottom, this is the bit that I like, that Deathwatch and Harlequins will be getting their Psychic Awakening rules in a White Dwarf, which sucks, because the Assassin's rules were in a White Dwarf, and I was looking forward to them appearing in Chapter Approved 2019, and they weren't in Chapter Approved 2019, and one of the routine questions I get asked is, where can I find the Assassin rules? Well, eBay. You need a White Dwarf. It sucks. So, yeah.
That's the thing, though. So when they announced that right at the end, that was a thing that really annoyed me. I don't understand why they put rules in White... I don't mind rules going in White Dwarf early. Like, that's fine. That's cool. If you want to give people rules in White Dwarf so they can use them earlier, before a book's released, that's a fantastic idea. But then at least release them in a proper book.
And the book has to be a couple of months later as well. It can't be like 2 years later. It's got to be, here's the pre-thing, and then 2 months later, here's the book. Yeah.
Because of exactly what you said, you want to play Assassins now, and you want all their rules. It's really hard to find all their rules. Unless, of course, you rely on the digital thing that's Battlescribe, and even then you don't get all the stratagems and stuff. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it, Winters. I don't get why they use White Dwarf for everything.
I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? So, have you been coping during the lockdown? Have you been keeping yourself busy?
Mostly life's normal for me.
Have you been doing any hobbying?
Yes, today. Like, today's the only day. So I've been working. I'm a key worker like you are, so I have to go to the factory still and do normal work, which sucked. Which I finished on Wednesday morning, and Wednesday and Thursday I was just exhausted for a day and a half because... Right. This is going to sound like the world's worst whinge, right? I'm warning everybody now, this is the world's worst whinge. But because it's lockdown, so I manage train maintenance. Like, I manage the whole of the South Western Railway maintenance fleet, and or fleet, the maintenance on the fleet. And when there's lockdown, there's no one getting on trains. So there's no one getting on trains, so they're not running as many trains. And because they're not running as many trains, less breakdown. So I had nothing really to do. So... It sounds terrible, doesn't it? But when you're on an 11-hour night shift and it's 3 a.m. and you've got nothing to do, it is so hard to get through that night shift. And I have to sit there.
There's only so many games of solitaire you can play, right?
Yeah, I have to sit. Well, actually, I shouldn't say this. On the second night, I wrote an article for the Warhammer community page that I sent you, if you remember, and you edited it, and then I edited it after you edited it. Yeah, so that was how I sat there wrote a 900-word article for the Warhammer community page because it was so hard to stay awake. Huh?
Have you submitted it?
Yeah. So once you'd edited it and sent it back to me, I then tweaked it a little bit more because I liked some of the edits that you put in. And then once I was happy with an overall product, I forwarded it off to them with loads of... They've got pictures from our open day that they wanted. So there's some
Have
photos
they?
I sent off. Yeah. So I sent off some photos of our open day. I sent off some photos
So
of
they
when
got in contact with us and
Yeah.
said, "Can you write articles?" Well, not us. They got in contact with everyone that is that they send product to. Really, I'm sure everyone who's got more than 10,000 subs on YouTube, basically a lot of people,
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, do you want to write some articles?" And so you wrote one, and then so you submitted it, and then they said, "Can then we have some pictures?" Did they?
Basically, well, yeah. So
Or
I sent the article back to them once you and I both tinkered with it and we were happy, and they said,
Yep.
really, really good. Have you got some supporting pictures that go with it? And I'm like, well, I mean, of exactly what we've written about, which we won't spoil it for people, but we basically wrote an article on how we think you can make 40k games more fun. I was like, as to demonstrate the exact points, not really, but I've got some photos that sort of like show off our community and stuff. And he was like, yeah, send them free. So I did. So
Cool.
some of our open day photos or some of our photos from the Champion of Chaos might actually appear on the Warhammer community website as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, and how can you make 40k more fun? Number 1, play naked. Number 2,
Please don't play naked.
get drunk and play naked. Number 3, lather yourself from head to toe in butter or oil, and then try and pick up your miniatures while you're naked, standing on a twister mat, slipping around all over the place.
You're currently
Number
ruining.
4.
You're currently ruining the article
What?
for people.
Oh, okay.
They could have nothing to read, mate. But yeah, so
But then you did some hobbying. You've done some hobbying.
today I have. So obviously Games Workshop's closed, Winters, and Forge World's
noticed.
closed. And because Games Workshop and Forge World are closed, no one can buy any models, which includes me, which is probably a good thing. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, I've got a garage and I've got cupboards in my studio full of stuff. So let's dig all my stuff out and see what I can do. See if I can make a whole new DZ army out of stuff I've already got. Turns out I can.
Right.
Turns out I can. with
You've got
spares.
that much stuff.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. So
Is this
So
your
this morning
Imperial
I've been-
Guard tank army?
yeah. So this morning I've been organising. I bought over, and I mean this is over years as well. This isn't like the last 12 to 24 months. Over years, I've been collecting Imperial Guard stuff and
Right.
just stashing it in my hobby pile of shame that I've never got round to. So I thought, well,
Yeah.
let's start. So I spent this morning organising stuff and putting stuff that's useful and stuff that's probably not going to be any use to me whatsoever, and stuff that needs putting together and all that kind of stuff. And there's actually quite a significant amount of stuff I've got for this. So it's a whole other army to play with once
Nice.
it's painted.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Say stuff again.
Stuff.
God damn it. Say stuff again. I dare you. Stuff ain't no country I ever heard of.
Have you?
Brilliant.
Have
You said stuff about 7 times. I like
have
it.
have you built your repulsor yet?
No, I've done 0 hobbying. The 2 main things have happened in my life. One just happened today, and the other one's been happening over the last couple of days. So today I lost some serious weight. I had a really, really lovely poo.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
one of those lovely poos where you need to grip the sides and talk to yourself and encourage yourself. Come on, you could do it. And you're talking to yourself. And then it drops down like depth charges, attacking U-boats in the Atlantic Ocean and splashes it up and hits the underside of the toilet bowl. I had one of them.
Right.
I've seen spots and fairies at the end of it. You come up to a higher plane. That's why it's so really nice. I got a picture of it on here. Do you want to? It was
No,
like a
you're good.
tyrannid bioform crawling out the what?
You don't need
It
to
was
share
like
that.
a tyrannid bioform crawling out the bowl. I just wanted to share my achievement with you. That's all.
No, I'm fine. Okay, but okay. I don't know if everyone needed to hear that. Really?
But we're men, and sometimes
What have you
just
done
have a
with it
really
now? Have
good
you
one.
kept? Have you put a helmet on it and it now leads to 13th?
No, I took a picture. Do you want to see the picture?
No, I don't need to see a picture.
It looked like I said, alive, a brown, like Highfleet Chronos colours. It was lovely.
So okay.
And then
so
the
that was-
other thing I did.
Yeah, the other thing.
The other thing I've been doing over the last couple of days is that, you can go online and find video games that are free, and most of them are really bad because they're free. But there's one out there that I think is probably going to be quite popular. So for anyone who is looking for a free video game to play, and there's a company called, I don't know what they're called, but they make a game called Call of Duty. So I think it's going to be quite popular.
Have you started
There's a
playing Call of
war
Duty?
zone. Well, Call of Duty Warzone's free. So
Yeah.
I've been growing up in the gulag for the last couple of days.
Winters, I have that game.
I ordered a new controller for. Oh, I haven't picked up my Xbox since The Witcher 3 because I haven't had any time, but now I've got time. I found out that my controller, the right thumbstick's got a bit of a drift, so I've ordered a new controller, which is apparently turning up tomorrow. So that's really good.
We can play Call of Duty together.
You have what game?
Warzone.
What? You have that game?
Of course I do. It's free.
Why don't we meet in the Warzone then? Because it's cross-platform. You can do PlayStation and Xbox and computers all together at the same time.
Yeah, I know. So you've got it on Xbox. Brom's got it on PlayStation. I have it on PC. Chris has got it on one of those three as well. We've got loads of people that can play at Warzone. We should probably play some Warzone at some point.
Warzone. Have you done any Warzoning?
No.
Have you done any Call of Dutying?
Yeah, I played a bit of the online multiplayer stuff when the game first came out.
Right, okay.
With Brom and Chris.
Well, I didn't because, time. But now there's time. And it's free.
You've quite literally, like, I'm kind of proud of you a little bit, I'll be honest, because you've quite literally taken this time to have a bit of time off, haven't you?
I have actually done very little. And I'll tell you what, actually, today was the first day that I got that itch. Because we play a lot of 40k, and I really wanted to play a game today, the first time in years, and I was like, I remember what that's like, because I play a lot of 40k all the time, so I don't get this nagging gotta play, because I know the next one's coming up, and the next one's coming up, and the next one's coming up. It's awesome. I get to play loads of different people from all over the place with loads of glorious painted armies. So that itch, like, I've got to play now. I got that itch today, particularly after watching Astartes Part 5 for the 17th time. That computer-generated series on YouTube.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
The Astartes channel.
So I watched that like
many times over, and now I really want to break out the speakies and go hunting some Xenos, and I couldn't. And I asked my wife for the 100th time whether she would like to play Warhammer 40k with me, because that's one of the most requested questions I get all the time. And no, that's never going to happen.
I spoke to Luce about filming Wife Hammer, and I think she thought it was something different, so she said no as well.
Yeah. No, she's just like to go upstairs and play with your little men, and I don't play with little men. She's like, so that's why she doesn't want to play with me. So.
Okay. We'll play some Warzone at some point. I think I need your. Oh, by the way, a massive thank you to everyone who's subscribing with Twitch Prime or subscribing in general, because it does help. It's amazing. Thank you very much. Anyway, I've not played computer games with you ever. We should play some Warzone. That'd be good. I think I only need your Activision ID or something, and that'll be all we need. So let's do that at some point.
It's Winters SEO.
Yeah, not your Activision ID, isn't your Activision ID has like a hashtag and some numbers after it or something.
Does it?
Yeah, you look confused.
If you're online and I'm online, then I can send you an invite, surely. Isn't that how it works?
As long as we are sort of friends on Activision, yes. Yes, you can.
Okay.
I can coach you through it. Don't worry, it's not that hard. But yeah, we'll have a
I've been playing. Yeah, it's good because I got loadouts and silencers and everything now. I haven't spent any money whatsoever. And one of the guns that you can pick up when you run around all over the place is like an M13. So I've been ranking that up like a bad boy. I've got Ghost and Cold-Blooded now, and I got my first victory last night.
You won Warzone?
I got my first victory on Warzone. We teleported in, parachuted into Storage Town. We did some running around, did some stuff. One of the guys left, so it was just me and this other guy. And I nuked 3 dudes, mainly with an RPG, and polished them off. And then he went to the war zone, and he went to the gulag, and I sprung him out. And then shortly after that, I went to the gulag, and I got out myself. And in between going from Storage Town all the way across to the Lumberyard, which is on the other side of the map, he died like 3 or 4 times. And I only died that one time. And I kept bringing him back. And right at the end, in the last circle, there was a guy roaming around in a truck, trying to hunt people down with a truck. And so I nuked him with an RPG. And then there were a couple of people in a tower sniping down, so I nuked a couple of them with an RPG. And they jumped out. And when they jumped out, I murdered them with my M13. And it came up Warzone victory. And I was very pleased with myself.
What did you do to celebrate, Winters? Tell the people what you did to celebrate.
I finally decided to go to sleep at that point because I've been chasing that dream for a long time. I must say though that I think in the final circle at the end, the guy going around in the truck was on his own, and the two people in the sniper towers really should have come down from there because everyone knew they were up there. But it was the center of the circle, so I thought they probably thought they were rather safe up there. But
Maybe.
I had an RPG.
So let's talk on topic again, away from Call of Duty, because people don't tend to watch us for Call of Duty stuff. They might do, maybe. Anyway, back on topic. Astartes Part 5. So you watched it like 5 times.
More than 5 times, yes.
I watched it once.
I've watched them all many times.
So I watched Part 5 once. It took me 2 sittings.
After watching Part 5 the first time, I went back and watched them all the way through as a connected story, and that works really well. And then I watched Part 5 over again, and I watched Part 5 twice today as well.
So unpopular
once about
opinion.
An hour ago and once this morning.
Unpopular opinion. It's not all that. I don't really like it.
Yeah, you said on the message thing, on the thing, that you didn't think it was very good.
No, I don't. I think so. I'll clarify. I think that the animation that he does is amazing. I think the way he's captured the way a Marine moves is brilliant. I think that's great. I just think as a story, it's flat. I just don't think there's anything to it. I think it's. I know a lot of people have claimed that they really like the sort of silent narrative to it. So the fact that they're not really speaking, I don't like that. I just don't. So a lot of people have said that Games Workshop need to hire this dude because of his abilities, and I would not argue with that whatsoever. I think they do need to get in touch with him and get him involved. But part of the reason is because he needs some goddamn story writers behind him, because it's just a bit. We've had 5 episodes so far. We've got about 15 minutes of content. I'm not a fan. And people hate me for it, which is whatever.
So my opinion is, before I start dig down into your brain, my opinion is it's the greatest piece of it's the greatest piece of storytelling and animation about the 40k universe that's ever existed. The Death of Hope is very, very good as well. That's all about the heresy, and that gets the grimdark down really well. But this is perfect. All the little details in it, perfect. I think perhaps one of the reasons why you don't like it is because it's Chaos of the bad guys instead of the good guys. But I think it's the title's in the tin. It's about the Astartes. They're the good guys.
I like being the bad guys. I've got no qualms about that at all. But I don't like. I get people watch it. There's messages that fly around our WhatsApp chats as you've seen. They're on Instagram. Oh my god! I'm like, yeah, it was alright. Yeah.
But so the Astartes are the Retributors are. Well, you got the Inquisition, and they've got the Retributors there, and they've got some Imperial Guards and Navy ratings, and they go to board this enemy ship, and inside the enemy ship is the floaty ball of doom, and on board the good guy ship is a chained version of the floaty ball of doom, probably its twin or its brother or something like that. And then the Inquisitor tries to psychically commune with it or destroy it or kill it or learn about it, and it goes horribly wrong and he gets his head punched off. And then the Astartes end up getting sucked through the warp to another place. That is cool. What more do you want?
Oh, are you done? Oh, okay.
Why is it flat?
Because that doesn't. There's no depth to it. To not
There's
be
no
flat,
depth.
you need depth. There's no depth to what's going on. This is opinion based, right?
Define depth. There's so many layers. When you slow it down and have a proper look at all the little nuances and the prayer parchments and the bit, there's so much depth to it.
A few people have already commented saying that he's one guy. Look, I get it. I get that he's one guy. Like I've said to you guys already, the animation work that he's doing is incredible. The way that he's made a Marine move and come to life is better than I think almost anything Games Workshop have done. So that's amazingly impressive in itself. So I get that he can't do everything on his own, but it's just there isn't depth to it. There's not interlacing story going on. There's no different arcs of story. It's just a bit.
I don't understand what you mean by no depth, though.
I don't know how to explain it better.
Get it. Because here's some. there's layers of depth. So, for example, in number 3, when our hero, the guy with the long service studs that you see in chapter 5, when he gets lit up by that multi-laser, he stands and takes a couple of hits and does a couple of shots back before he realizes he can't reach the multi-laser, then ducks into cover, then pulls out his plasma pistol. That's some depth, that's some layers. They're reacting as they would on the battle grid. You've got the unknown quantity in chapter 5. What is this psychic thing? Why are they there? What are they trying to do? To my mind, it's probably the Uarth or something like that. From they were back in the time of the old ones. It looks like Uarth tech for me because it's clearly warp infested because you've got the frost and the stuff coming out, and the surface, the fossilized metallic organic surface looks like Uarth tech to me. They were around during the time of the Crusades, so they would have remembered the Astartes back then. So you've got the 40k content clearly because there's Inquisitors. It harks back to the Crusade era because it's probably the Uarth. And then there's just a couple of layers peeling back the onion. But maybe you need to because there's some deep cuts there, and I don't know. Maybe there's some deep cuts, and you've got to really know your Astartes lore or Crusade lore or something. I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know. I think a lot of that is sort of not even implied. That's assumed. That's the thing with the story is you can't assume people. I don't know. Look, it's opinion, right? I don't get that wow factor from it that everybody else seems to get, and I say that quite obviously as well. Everybody else seems to get it. I'm aware that I'm probably one of the minority. Like that thing had how many hundreds of thousands of views in 4 minutes or something. So I get that I'm the minority, and I get that I'm one of the very few people that thinks I'm not that bothered by it. It's not that great. I would be so exceptionally excited to see what the guy could do with some support from GW if they were to give him or allow him resources to allow him to do more than what he's just doing. Because I have no doubt that some of the reason why I think it's a bit flat is because he can't do everything as one person, because this stuff must take a lot of time, a lot of effort. So imagine if this same person had some GW resources behind him and some GW writers with him. It would be... I mean, I think having seen the cartoon that they were producing, or the story, the like TV thing they were producing that they demonstrated on the preview, I would pick Astartes over that stuff all the time. I think someone went a bit mad with the red filter on that cartoon. I don't quite understand what the... Anyway, I would love to see what he could do with GW.
I would be worried to see what he could do with GW, because GW tend to really up the hero factor and the wow factor. And when GW got involved in the Lord Inquisitor animation, and Aaron Dembski-Bowden came along and wrote the script for it, it took a left turn from the animation and the story that it was originally going into, and instead it made the interrogator into a Ramsay Bolton type who was just a cruel, torturous person. And when Games Workshop one of the reasons why The Death of Hope is so good is because it's absolutely brutal. People nailed on spikes with their faces ripped off. It's all very grim in the dark. If Games Workshop got hold of that, they'd want to tone that down. One of the reasons why Astartes is so good is because they're not over-the-top hero storytelling moments. They just tell it like it is. So if a Space Marine captain wants to punch off a Psyker's head and his number 2 riddle him with bolt gun shells while he's down on the ground, they'll do that. But it's just there. It just happens. It's not with some huge cacophonic build-up to it. When Games Workshop get involved with some Games Workshop story writing, in most cases is okay. In some cases, it's really bad. And there are some few exceptions where some of their writers can do exceptionally well. But generally speaking, it's really, really hard to write good 40k narrative. And you can just read the Horus Heresy to find out, because there's so few really, really good books in that. It gives you an example of just how hard it is to do the narrative. So just throw money at the guy. So he can do it full time and hire who he needs and who he wants and stand back, because fan-made stuff can often be better than anything that comes out of a company. I'll give you a good example. The battle reports that you make are much, much better than anything that goes on the Warhammer community web page and their Twitch stuff.
No.
Fan-made stuff is better than GW.
I'll take that point. Maybe then don't give him a writer to work with. Maybe just chuck the resources at him. But you see what I mean? If you give him... I think he could... I'll say this categorically as well, even though I don't like the Astartes series in terms of I think they're a bit dull and I don't think there's much to them. I think he is incredibly talented, and I think if you give him the resources, whoever this guy is, I assume it's a one-man band, if you give him the resources, I think he could make something phenomenal with what he's already doing. Because it's just it is that good in terms of like his animation is phenomenal. It's absolutely incredible, and it's like I've said to you already. I mean, there's games out there where you play Space Marines and all kinds of stuff, and I don't think anything or anyone has animated a Space Marine as well as he has. I think there isn't that obvious talent there. I'm just not that sort of amazed by the series so far. And I'm not saying that I'm instantly going to go next episode is crap, because episode 6 might come out. And I might think it's the best thing that's ever existed. I just didn't. I watched 5, and it was 7.5 minutes, and I was a little bit excited about 7.5 minutes. And I thought to myself, well, maybe it's starting to really, because obviously before that, I think total at the moment there's 15 minutes of content. So episode 5 was about half of all the total content. I thought, oh, maybe it's going to start going, and it didn't for me. But it's for me. That's the whole thing about preference, right? And taste is it doesn't have to be for everybody. That's not the point.
Do you think because you're not a major fan of Space Marines, do you think that's skewing your appreciation of it somewhat? Because I'm giggling like a schoolchild every time I watch them for the first time. Watching how Space Marines move and fight, and that kill team boarding that ship and making their way through it to the end. When they were resisting the psychic pulses from the Uath orb at the end, it was just...
Do you know, I
found that spine tingling, but because I'm a major Space Marine fanboy, maybe you're influenced a little bit by your personal taste when it comes to armies.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of generic Space Marines. If I am interested in Marines ever, it's things like Dark Angels, Blood Angels that have got a whole different sort of side to them. I think actually, to be honest with you, one thing I would appreciate is exactly what I think you said already, and that is that I think I would appreciate them being shown in a much more brutal light. Like maybe that's something that I've thought like throughout the whole of the Games Workshop novels and stuff that I've read, codexes, some of the Horus Heresy stuff. They're sort of made out to be these absolute brutal animals, but were never really truly demonstrated in detail that they act in that sort of. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't. I think you're right. I think Games Workshop probably tone them down a little bit. They make them a little bit more family friendly in places, and I don't want that from a ruthless space soldier. I want him to be brutal.
Honestly, they want it to be accessible to all ages, don't they? But what it is war. So doing it properly would be a war movie with super soldiers in it and limbs getting blown off. Doing it properly would be like Logan, like the X-Men series. You had all the X-Men movies, and they were like PG-13 or whatever. And then Logan came out, and Logan did it properly because you saw him put his claws through people's faces and stuff like that. You don't have to. All you have to do is show Space Marines doing what Space Marines do, which is absolutely murdering and destroying and dismembering. And did you watch The Death of Hope?
No.
So there's another animated series on YouTube called The Death of Hope, and it's set during the time of the Horus Heresy, and it features Night Lords and a Night Lord, but it's Word Bearers and World Eaters, and they've captured some Ultramarines, and it's very grim in the dark. There's lots of limbs blown off in that. There's war between two Space Marines. You can't just shoot a Space Marine because he'll get up again. You can't just chop off his arm because he's got another arm. The way to kill a Space Marine is you need to dismember and incapacitate that guy, tank shells, grenades, blow bits off of him. And there's quite a bit of that in The Death of Hope.
Okay.
You'll like it.
Do you think it's worth watching then, do you?
I think it's worth watching for the imagery. And I think the Death of Hope story is more confused because it doesn't go anywhere yet. It's setting up a bunch of characters. Okay. And it's setting up a bunch of characters. There's talking in it, so there's some exposition. Whereas Astartes, one of the things that You've got the reason why Astartes comes to life after you watch it a couple of times is because there's no exposition. There's no one saying, we need to get here and we need to go to X and do Y. There's no one saying that. Instead, you watch them go to X and do Y. There's no exposition. In The Death of Hope, there is exposition. They're telling you what they're doing and why they're there.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'd recommend it because there's very few brilliantly animated visual things out there with Space Marines in it.
I think,
right?
Do you know, in all seriousness as well, I think part of the issue might be my personal relationship with screenplay and I'm not a film guy. Like I've always been I've always been a YouTube guy, or I will often get involved in some TV series, but I'm more of a YouTube guy than anything. And I honestly will rather sit and watch personalities on YouTube than I would watch a film or a series of programs or whatever. I just don't have a great relationship with screenplay as such, and I part of it is because I don't enjoy it that much, but part of it is because...
Well, can I help drive this home for the people?
Go on.
Let's hammer that nail, Liam.
Okay.
You're not a screenplay person. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's list 5 movies and let's have a yes or no. Have you seen The Matrix?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Have you seen Terminator 2?
Nope.
Have you seen the original RoboCop?
Nope.
Have you seen Aliens?
Nope.
Have you seen The Lion King?
Which one?
The original Lion King, the better one.
The cartoony one?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a kid I have, yeah.
So 2 out of 3 you've seen. Everyone's seen those movies except you. I'm impressed that you've seen The Matrix.
Yeah, well, I like The Matrix.
How many of the Marvel movies have you seen?
Which ones are the Marvel movies?
You've already blown the answer. The only acceptable answer to to that question is all of them, many times.
Which ones are Marvel movies?
Infinity War and Endgame? Have you seen them?
No. I don't do films.
I don't want to play Warzone with you tonight. You need to go and watch the Infinity War and Endgame. You need to watch these.
I will watch them for about probably 20 minutes. I'll get bored. I'll make a cup of tea. I'll probably get some models out. I don't like films. I've watched some films, and I've got favourite films. I've watched Lord of the Rings. I love those films. But and they were one of the reasons why I thought they were so amazing was because I actually managed to sit and watch the whole bloody thing, because I just don't do it. I think part of it, like a lot of people will say that. People say that cinema and, like, again, screenplay can move people, and it just doesn't do that for me. It never has. So,
how come you don't like films? Everybody likes films.
I don't hate them. I just don't. I'm not bothered by them. Just not really fussed. In the last 3 years, I think I've been to the cinema once, maybe.
Yeah, who goes to the cinema? Netflix, Amazon Prime, Roku, or whatever it is. Those things.
I'd rather watch YouTube.
Have you got Netflix?
I have Netflix, yes.
So you can watch movies on Netflix. Last night we watched Velocipasta. Velocipasta is about a pastor. It's an American movie. He goes to the Himalayas where he gets ancient powers so he can turn into a dinosaur. And on coming back to the United States, a hooker teaches him how to use his powers to fight crime. Velocipasta.
And that was a good use of your time.
Yes, it was almost as good as Sharknado 4. Sharknado 4 was the best one.
Last night I watched the second half, because I can't watch movies as a whole. I watched the second half of The Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
Lucy and I watched that over 2 nights.
Some people really like that movie. You've got to be high if you really, really like that movie.
I didn't really...
There's a lot of drugs in it.
I didn't really... It was all right. I don't think it was that bad. I thought DiCaprio did okay, but yeah. I've been asked if I watched Pulp Fiction. Which one's Pulp Fiction? Is that the one with Samuel L. Jackson in it?
Yeah, well, yes. Most of them got Samuel L. Jackson in it. Pulp Fiction has got 5 different stories happening all the time. That's the one with Royale with cheese. Samuel L. Jackson's driving around a car with John Travolta. And they're 2 hitmen.
Willis is in it.
Bruce Willis is in it. He's a boxer.
I think I've seen bits of it. I think I've seen the whole thing.
Bits of Pulp Fiction. It's one of the most quotable movies of all time. I was desperately racking my brains there for some quotes that I could throw at you. And about 5 of them popped into my brain, and all of them had swear words or the N word, so I thought I'd better not. It's the Quentin Tarantino.
But this is what
movie.
I mean. Like,
I tell you what, 2 movies I watched really recently that are really good.
Go on.
The Joker.
The new one.
Yeah, the one he got an Oscar for. Fantastic.
I've heard that's very good, yeah.
On that note, have you seen Heath Ledger's Joker in Batman Returns?
Yes.
Cool, good. And then the other one I watched recently, and it was so good I watched it twice. I watched it, and then I watched it again the next day, was Jojo Rabbit.
I don't know what that is.
Jojo Rabbit is about a 10-year-old boy growing up in the Third Reich, and he's an absolute Nazi. He believes in Nazis. He likes dressing up and running around and saying, I'm a Nazi. And he's got an imaginary friend who's Adolf Hitler. Okay. And it's a comedy. It's about the ridiculousness and the awfulness of Nazism as shown through the innocent eyes of a 10-year-old.
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're taking the piss out of Nazism, right? There's a 10-year-old boy going, yeah, down with this and down with that, and Hitler's giving him stuff, and it's set during the last half a year of the war, and Scarlett Johansson is his mother, and it's just showing you how ridiculous and over the top this type of ideology is from the eyes of a 10-year-old child who believes in this ideology. And what happens is he finds, it's no spoilers here, he finds a Jew, because he's a boy, and he finds an older girl, Jew, living in his attic, right? Like
okay.
Mary Curry in the attic behind the stairs, whatever. And so he just thinks, oh, there's a Jew that's in my house, and it might come out at night and eat me. And asks the Jew, how do you sleep at night? Do you hang upside down like a bat? Because he's been indoctrinated at school, right? Where are your horns is one of the questions he asks her. And she says, oh, the horns just grow when we get older. He's like, oh, right, yeah, that makes sense. And that's his interaction with the Jew. But because you're an adult watching it, that Scarlett Johansson, his mother, obviously is hiding and has chosen to hide this person for many years in her attic. So you see the truth of it through the eyes of an adult, whereas you've got Jojo Rabbit running around saying, yeah.
There's a few people in the chat that definitely agree with you. I've got the chat here so you can see it. There's a few people in the chat that definitely agree with you. Say Jojo Rabbit's good, it's awesome, it's brilliant. So I may be able to give it a go. Peter Butchins asks, have I seen older movies like Police Academy? Nope. Goonies? Nope. Ghostbusters?
Yes.
I think so, maybe.
Yes, keep going. All of them, yes, all of them.
I haven't seen most of those. Like he said, like at the age when there was no YouTube. When there was no YouTube, I spent my time outside. We didn't really watch films and stuff at home. My dad used to
stay inside. People, don't listen. That's bad advice. Stay inside and watch movies.
I said when I was a child. When I was a child, I used to go outside. That's what I said. And
you should have stayed inside then and watched movies.
Yeah, I got thrashed on Monty Python films, so I used to watch those.
Nice, yeah, Monty Python, all of them, yeah.
Interesting that you say. So
when I was in university, I watched The Life of Brian while taking magic mushrooms, and I laughed so hard that I could barely walk the next day because we put that on, and then I forgot what the second movie was because by the time the second Monty Python movie kicked in, I was so high. This is a long time ago. Don't do drugs, kids. And but the next day, I was in actual physical agony. I could barely move around. I remember walking around Gollum style in the house to try and make a tea. And then the day after that, I could breathe properly and walk again. But I actually did myself a physical injury through laughter.
I think the little part of that story probably explains a lot to a lot of people that watch you, to be honest. Anyway, why are we still... we've got an actual 40k related question now. Should we probably answer that one instead of talk about movies?
Yeah, let's get on to 40k.
Do we think we get World Eaters or Emperor's Children first, or at all? Which would you prefer? Basically, we've got Thousand Sons, haven't we? We've got Death Guard. We already know we have those two as separate standalone supplements.
Codexes.
Yeah. So we've got Death Guard Codex, which is Death Guard full of Death Guard units. We've got a Thousand Suns Codex, which is full of Thousand Suns specific units. So basically, what the Dire Avengers is asking us is if we think we're going to get similar for World Eaters and Emperor's Children. I forever said yes. I thought we would. I didn't think
Emperor's
it would take this long for another
ones,
one to come
right?
out.
Emperor's Children are the pink ones.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're not going to get a release.
Why
What?
Not? Why not?
Because one, they're pink, and you're trying to sell the majority, the audience. Look at the demographic for this. That they're trying to sell most things to is male. And so by having an army that's entirely pink, there is a percentage of that audience that won't get it because they don't like pink. But true men can wear pink. There's many rugby players out there who wear a pink tie or a pink shirt. You can own that. Own it. But Khorne, definitely. We had the Demonborn. What was the one in 7th edition? Demonkin? Corny thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was popular at the time.
I loved it. I used to have that book. I loved that book.
Yeah. It was an actual codex, right? A Khorne codex.
Yeah.
Which wasn't demons and wasn't Legion.
Yeah, and it gave you something because you didn't have access to things like psychic powers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It gave you something that otherwise you didn't have when they generated the blood tithe. Yeah, blood tithe.
That was it. Yeah.
So you used to basically get a blood tithe point if one of your units was completely destroyed, or an enemy unit was completely destroyed, or if your character killed an enemy character, or your character was killed by an enemy character. You used to gain a blood tithe point. Depending on how many blood tithe points you generated, depending on and you could spend them at, I think, the start of each turn. You could spend them. Depending on how many you had, depended on what you could spend them on. So 1 to 4 was some sort of buff stroke boon. So there's like +1 strength, +1 attack, stuff like that. And then 5 to 8 was different units of demons you could summon in. So if you got to 8 blood tithe points, you could summon in a bloodthirster.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
How easy would that be? How easy would it be to do that in 8th, where you get blood tithe points for doing stuff, and every blood tithe points is a command point? You don't even have to make a chart or a table. Complete killer. Imagine if Khorne, the World Eaters book came out, and one of their core rules was every time you kill a unit or every time a unit dies, you gain a command point. And that's the way you farm. There's no psychic power in there. There's no relic in there. You know, there's many other ways to farm command points. And they called it the blood tithe. Kill something, get a command point. Have something die, get a command point. Nice, simple. I like that. Simple, straightforward.
It is. Whether I like
and
it or not.
But you'll want to kill to get those command points.
Yeah, granted, and I wanted to do it before for Blood Tithe. I don't know. So I like the simplicity. I love the simplicity of what you're suggesting. Absolutely, 100% love the simplicity of it because it's easy. Because you're using kind of a system that already exists, and all you're doing is generating that for everything you kill. I don't like stratagems and command points already, so that's where I have the problem with it. With the blood tithe thing, with the blood tithe thing that they did before, there was very specific Khorne sort of orientated boons and buffs you could do, including summoning of Khorne-based demons. I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying go back to that. I don't know what my fix is. Whereas by gaining blood tithe, you can use it on fucking anything, really, couldn't you? I suppose if you want. I mean, granted, you couldn't use it on things like Endless Cacophony because. I don't know.
The thing about the Games Workshop rules writers is they often overcomplicate things and make systems not necessarily overcomplicated, but a little bit more complicated than they should be. Yeah. It took them a long time to trim it all down to 8th edition and make it simple. The Space Marine Codex dropped, and it was overcomplicated. There's too many buffs, too many this, too many that. You got Sisters of Battle who've got command points, but they've also got faith points, and it took them a while to streamline that down into its current version, which is pretty good. I like things that are personally, I like things that are streamed down and as simple as possible. Instead of maybe killing stuff and getting command points, maybe kill something and 1 or 2 things could happen. And that's it. Keep it really, really simple. Simple doesn't necessarily mean not complex. Simple rules can breed complex results.
I think you nailed it with the Sisters. So the old Sisters rules, I never really got on with them. I was a bit sort of lost at times.
Complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The new ones, although a separate system from command points and therefore adding a layer of complexity with the miracle dice, I just think they're brilliant. Yeah. I think they're really, really good now. Not in terms of the rules are strong, just the whole system is really good. and
I would have
different.
shrunk it down even more because they've got miracle dice, command points, and they've also got faith points. Yeah?
Yes.
So there's 3 systems going on there. I would have trimmed it all the way down to just do the miracle dice thing and command points. I'd have trimmed it right down.
The faith point thing is really relatively simple, though, isn't it? I thought.
It's relatively simple. Yeah, it's simple. It's much more simple than their beta rules.
I might have misunderstood it, but I thought the faith thing was a rule that just applied for the game, and you picked it at the start of the game. Is that maybe? I mean, I've read the Codex once. I'm by no means professing to be a Sisters of Battle expert, so I might.
Well, I know they've got. Well, I know they've got like Space Marine chapter things now as well. So maybe that's what the faith thing is, and I'm misremembering. So you can pick this, the Order of a Martyred Lady, they get X, and the Order of the Howling Banshees, they get Y, and the Order of the We Go Flying In and Use Napalm get Z. So they've got those things going on.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about Sisters.
I think that before
to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that before the rewrite for their codex, I thought they were very complicated. I think the new one is really good. I'm quite a fan of how it is now compared to where it was.
Yeah.
This is the thing. We're often quite negative about what Games Workshop do. There is an example where I think they did something good and they made a positive change from A to B, and I think they're in a better place now. Like, I think they nailed that one personally.
Yeah. Well, they did 2 really awesome things there. One, they tried the beta rules and went, and they just what you said, right? They did that. But 2, let's not forget, Sisters are in plastic. That's a whole new army in plastic. If you think about the new releases that happened since 8th dropped, we've got Sisters, we've got Death Guard, we've got Custodes, we've got
Primaris.
Chaos Knights. Yeah, but I'm thinking about whole brand new codexes that didn't exist before.
I get it, but let's be honest, you could, I'm not saying we do or we should, you could remove everything Mini Marine from the Codex with Space Marines and you would still have a complete playable faction. So in essence, although they are a bolt onto Astartes, in essence, Primaris are basically a complete new faction, there or thereabouts, right? So that's a whole new faction to add in as well. It just so happens that gives you variation and variety to your original Marine list. And this is one of the reasons why, exactly what you've just said, is one of the reasons why this last couple of weekends with the biggest releases ever that Games Workshop have put out, I've just been a bit disappointed because 8th edition's releases so far, they've smashed it out of the park. They've done amazing stuff with amazing model ranges. I think that the new AOS army looks really, really interesting. That's great. At the moment, we don't play AOS yet, so it doesn't really bother us. The new Primarch is amazing. We don't play Horus Heresy. The 40k releases so far have been really underwhelming. I mean, you can order
the 40k releases recently have been underwhelming.
Yeah,
but not in total. The 8th edition 40k releases,
absolutely.
During this thing, I think that Games Workshop though needs to. I think there should be in their release cycle. Well, they overhyped this, didn't they? They overhyped. We're going to release XYZ. They overhyped it because if they hadn't have overhyped it, you wouldn't be disappointed.
True, absolutely.
They've hyped something. But I kind of, one of the 40k has been a bit of a rush since 8th edition. And one of the ways Games Workshop can break that up is by having a month of AOS, a month of Heresy Necromunda Gothic, and then a month of 40k. They could make it like that so that so there isn't so much 8th edition 40k coming out. They need to sometimes release a rush on their other game systems as well, I think, to give us a break.
Do you reckon that? I mean, I actually really like that as a concept. Do you think if they were to layer, so take a 12-month period, January to December, and for them to say that we're going to do, for example, January will be 40k, February will be AOS, March will be Heresy, April will be another, because I don't think things like Blood Bowl would require a 4-month rotation, but another, so it's another independent gaming system, or it could be independent gaming systems in general, so Blood Bowl, Aeronautica,
a couple of them, yeah.
Go back to May and go back to 40k.
Yeah.
As 40k players, you know that you would get January, you'd get May, and you'd get the 9th month, I guess, would it be? I can't remember my cycle now.
September.
So September, October. You get 3 months a year. You would get 40k releases. For the rest of the months a year, you knew you were going to get nothing. Do you think that's a positive or a negative?
Comment below.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, I think they used to do things like that. That's what they used to do in 6th and 7th, or maybe not just that, but they used to do more of that sort of thing. You would know in advance when a codex was coming because of the hype cycle, and then after that codex, there would be AOS or something else for the following month, and they'd start hyping that, and then that would come out. There's been a flood of information and updates and books since 8th edition dropped, and we've been saying it for so long now, it's too much. So anything that pumps the brakes a little bit would be nice. So what you just said, that would be nice. Anything that pumps the brakes would be nice. There's no reason why they can't release in 1 month a new codex towards the start of a month for 40k and another new codex at the end of the month for 40k, and have 2 codexes and a chunk of new models for 2 factions in one particular month, because that'll ride for a couple of months until, they could do that. But we aren't the bean counters at Games Workshop looking at how they can maximize their profit. And they probably know a lot more about business than us.
There's some interesting comments in the chats, actually. Something that I genuinely hadn't thought of, which is really, really interesting. It comes from the guy on Twitch, Bristol Chess Times. Says they won't drop AAA releases whilst they can't sell stuff. They've blatantly rearranged what they show for these online showcases. That's interesting that might have been a technique that they've used.
Yeah, that's probably why there's elves all of a sudden, because who likes elves? No one. And all the Blood Bowl stuff and the Middle-earth stuff. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Because let's be honest with you, everybody has heard the rumours that come the summer of this year, they were supposed to be dropping either 9th edition or 8.5. My personal thoughts is it's going to be more of an 8.5 than a 9th edition. Whether they call it 9th edition, I don't know.
But those rumours were started by the community. How legitimate are they?
Absolutely. But there was a lot of rumours, and I think it was, if you look at what's been going on, it's not guaranteed. Absolutely, it's not guaranteed. But it looked like it was probably likely that it was going to get consolidated a little bit at least. Now, imagine the money that made them when the 8th edition dropped. Imagine the success they saw when 8th edition dropped. If you can't sell it, why release it? It needs to be supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. Yeah. And if you have the demand but you can't supply, eventually that demand will fizzle out. For some people, not for everybody, but for some people, that will fizzle out and they'll lose interest because the hype has gone. Because the hype train's a real thing. We all fucking get on it all the time. But if you built that hype, if you created that sort of demand and then you couldn't supply it, and it's not their fault. Like, everybody's going for a hard time right now. It's not Games Workshop's fault whatsoever. But perhaps this is true. Perhaps he's right. Perhaps they are holding back, waiting out, and going, you know what? Let's not create that demand until we can actually produce and provide. I dread to think how annoyed some of the community has got when they have pre-ordered the Psychic Awakening book that has orcs and what was it called? Winters, tell me.
I don't know, Engine War or something. I don't know.
Saga.
Saga of the Beast. That one. Yeah. That was.
So they hyped Saga of the Beast. That you could pre-order Saga of the Beast as a book. You could pre-order Saga of the Beast as a box set with Gaz in it, and now no one's got it. There's going to be some upset people in the world.
Well, maybe that'll give them time to correct the Saga of the Beast book, so it's got the real rules in it, because the first time the Space Wolf Codex dropped, the rules were out of date, and when the supplement for the Space Wolves dropped, the rules were out of date. So maybe they can actually write the proper rules for their own gaming system. Not that I'm salty about it, but that's a perfect I am salty about it. I am 100% sorry, but that's a perfect example of how Games Workshop are running before they can walk. And I think we've been around that bush before. We've been around that bush so many times, beating it with sticks, throwing gasoline on it, and it's burning. It's like the effigy of God saying, "You shall not write rules so quickly." Burning bush there. That's an analogy to the Bible. Burning bush also is something that happens to prostitutes. Warwick, what are you reading?
I'm reading comments on Twitch. I was listening to you talking about burning bushes as well. Don't worry, I hadn't ignored you.
Don't worry, you can get some cream for it if your bush is burning.
When I say Dave, it's literally written as Dave all across the screen. It says, I think the 40k was seemed so rushed since since releases because they had to re-release every single army plus extras so they could be playable with 8th edition rules. Absolutely, we've said this before, right? That 7th edition and 6th edition and 5th edition weren't really different editions. They were kind of the same, and you could tell that when a new edition released, you could still use your old codex, so it was kind of the same edition. Obviously, 8th was a completely different gaming system, and we knew that it was going to be completely different because you had indexes for everything. I think he's probably not far off the mark.
Here's the question, though. But did they? Yes, they had to release every single codex to catch up, and he said, and extras. Did they need to release the extras?
At the beginning, no.
Exactly. So just release all the books, all the codexes for someone, get them out there.
I think we've
and
spoken about this
balance
before.
Balance the game with chapter approved, and release a few more models here and there.
I don't know if this is flogging a dead horse because I think we've done this before, but I don't.
Shall we
get that they're a money making company, but I don't understand why they couldn't just release indexes and let it settle for a while.
Yeah,
and they didn't seem to do that.
I think one of the first conversations, I may have done a video on it or a podcast with you, but I can't remember. But yeah, the game dropped and there was a chapter approved that winter. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
It should have been more than a year. Anyway. So yes, they had to release loads and loads of stuff thick and fast for the launch of 8th edition, but they didn't, in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, they didn't have to release all the extra stuff as well. If they wanted to release more models than they could have with the rules in White Dwarfs here, there, and everywhere, and have the data sheets in the chapter approves at the end of the year, and they could have used chapter approves to balance the game rather than the extra bits. Yeah. And when they're trying to balance the game with chapter approved and the extra bits, what happens is you end up with more of an unbalanced mess. But we've flogged that horse to death. We've dismembered it and hung up its body parts so other horses know not to come this way.
More comments. Our good friend, Krieger. Our good friend Krieger has said that the Adepticon preview has been split over 3 previews, so I thought it was 4. He says that it's 3, and I know that there is definitely one a week after next, hence why there is nothing particularly massive each week, saving 9th for the last preview. So he thinks that the big release is coming in the next one. That'll be interesting. It also says, please remember the release schedule was decided months in advance. It takes 3 months to get stock to Australia. These previews have been scheduled for ages. I still wouldn't be massively surprised if they have switched it up a little bit because of what's going on, because I don't know why a company would smash a massive release that they can't then sell. And I don't know, like we saw Games Workshop did something today, right? And I don't know how this is sat with the community, but at the end of the second big release stream on Twitch, they announced that because you couldn't buy any models at the moment, they were going to put an offer on both the Games Workshop website and the Forge World website that if you bought a £50 gift voucher, they would give you £5 free. So I don't know if that's them trying to preserve sales and keep...
That's 10%. That's like a 10% pay cut, essentially.
Basically,
in their profits.
I mean, I don't think we should worry. I think it's more of a Games Workshop's trying to guarantee that the sales are still coming in throughout this period. But interesting.
Yeah, stuff's got it's a long way to get to Australia. That's where we sent all the convicts, right? That place. And then they turned it into a much better place than back here and had barbecues and said, good day, mate, and all that sort of thing. Drunk lots of beer and having a really good time. Should have left the convicts here.
Yeah, and we go to a nice sunny place.
There's quite a few convicts. And I live in Swindon. There's loads of convicts around me all the time. And we should have gone down there instead. To Middle Earth, even further we could have gone. I saw a person running past my house the other day, and there wasn't anyone chasing them or anything. It was just running. 7 a.m. It was disgusting. I only woke up to get a beer.
Some more mushrooms. Someone said I heard Citadel Paints are currently making hand sanitizer. I heard that too. That's really cool. Luckily, there's loads and loads and loads of businesses out there in the world that are doing lots and lots and lots of things to help out, which is really, really amazing. Yeah. Anyway, that's an hour's done. That's an hour, Winters. I promised I'd make dinner, so I probably need to go make dinner.
Oh, right, you've got dinner to make. Well, so we talked about Games Workshop. We talked about some of the stuff. Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
No, I mean, you and I will need to talk about when we're going to plan the next one of these, because we need to do another one. Well, I said we don't need to. This is good fun at the moment. And I really like chatting to people or reading their comments live. I really maybe perhaps next time we'll just do a plain Q&A session and the guys can just come in and ask us questions and we'll answer them and do something like that. How do you feel about that?
That sounds like an idea. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
We also need to do, you said you were going to do one where we were going to film and I was going to talk using science and elastic
Okay,
trickery.
so yesterday I edited the first 2.5 turns of me versus Brom that I'd filmed with him before lockdown happened. So I now
Brilliant.
have remembered exactly where we are. Tomorrow,
Brilliant.
Brom is playing, and this is our gateway into him. So there's, he's going to play.
Is your table still set up and everything?
Hasn't been touched.
For exactly 2.5 weeks?
For 2.5 weeks, yeah. I've left it exactly as it was because I didn't want to finish it.
See, that's weird. I've got a thing, which my thing is, I might not clear up the table that night, but I like it when my room is. I don't leave it. I pack everything away. I like it tidied and organized, because when I then set up for the next one or start writing armies for the next one, I know where everything is because it's all where it should be. Leaving it set up like that would make me itch.
I do prefer it tidied away, but I can also, I mean, you've seen how the house is. I can shut the door in the studio, and then this is in the office downstairs out the way, so I don't see it. It's out my way, and this is where I spend most of my time, is in this office. So it doesn't really bother me. It's only, it would be packed away if it wasn't for the fact that we hadn't finished. We filmed the first half of the game on the Thursday. UK went into lockdown on the Monday, so there wasn't a lot I could do. So we're going to trial it tomorrow, him and I. We're going to see if we can finish that game off, and if it works, all being well, we'll be having a go at virtual battle report soon. It should be a lot of fun.
Because we needed DZTV content.
Yeah, we do need DZTV content, absolutely.
Something else we could do is we could do it behind the scenes with you and me. You do your half, I do my half, and we could do like karaoke in our underpants and do back and forwards, like something like a song. Singing DZTV content.
Okay. I don't know how that would go. No. We could. Aren't you sat in your pants now, though?
Good. You said yes. I'll write that one down then. I'll get that on the list. Singing. Because it's not much of a reach for me to do that. I can do that quite easily. Jump around singing in my underpants.
Yeah. A lot of people have.
Did I tell you about my poo?
A lot of people show a lot of love for the Say Hi Paul videos as well. So obviously Paul's a legend for doing those for us. I think Chewy's done one for you as well, hasn't he? Has Chewy done one?
Yeah. Well, Chewy, Paul edited his together, which was really good, even with the upside down bit, which was just genius. I thought about getting in contact with him and saying, did you know you put this bit in the wrong way around? And I thought, no, because it's just genius. And also his camera angles are all jinky anyway, so sometimes you didn't know which way you were looking. And the other thing about it is it's just a trip inside his brain. But yeah, Chewy sent me through like 16 or 18 different clips, which I did download and are on this PC here, but I've been playing Call of Duty Warzone.
Yeah, I'll be doing some of that with you soon. I've got some other behind-the-scenes stuff that I've been filming anyway in pieces that I'll mash together soon for a vlog type thing. We are still going to be kicking content out. We'll do our best for you. You guys are absolutely being amazing. One thing I have noticed, which is incredible as well, we've had an explosion of patrons recently as well. Like loads of people joining Patreon and coming and jumping in the Discord. Loads and loads of people. We obviously opened Discord out to everybody so that people could come and join us just for a bit of sort of support during what's going on.
Yeah, you opened it for free though. That would be why.
Yeah, but so we've had loads and loads and loads of people join for free and have access to the 8 or 9 free channels. We've also had a load of people that have signed up to Patreon who've got access to the whole thing. So it's been amazing. So thank you so much, everybody. Obviously, we see the dice orders are still coming in. People are asking how they can buy merchandise. There's loads of support for us. Thank you so much. It's amazing because it is quite hard. One of the questions we had much, much, much earlier in the chat was, how are people finding not being able to go and play with people? I hate it. I'd rather do that than anything. I'd rather do that than watch a film or a YouTube. I'd rather play a game with someone. So I hate not being able to do it.
I've got the itch. I really, really want to play. I want to play.
Yeah.
It's really itchy.
Okay. Right. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this live stream. We will discuss straight after we finish when we're going to do the next one. And then I'll put the thumbnail up on Twitch and we'll put it up on Facebook and we'll let everybody know when it's going to be in advance so you can all plan. Because I know you've all got busy lives going to the pubs and clubs. Oh, wait, no. And no
1 minute. I got one more thing as well.
What?
You unlocked the Death of Hope, not the Death of Hope thing, but the Death of Hope on DZTV.
Yes,
Talk about that.
I did that on Tuesday. So this last week, Winters and I had a chat about it. We have decided that we are going to lift the subscription requirement to be able to watch the DZTV narrative campaign, The Death of Hope. So absolutely anybody now can go to www.deploymentzone.tv, go down, click on all videos, scroll down to The Death of Hope, and that whole campaign, including the epilogue and the prologue, is all free to watch to everybody now. So if you're sat at home and you're bored and you've binged Netflix and you've watched everything on Sky or cable or whatever it is you're watching, and you think, I want to watch something else, we've unlocked this. So although we cannot keep kicking out bat reports, we can unlock things like The Death of Hope for people to watch, to give them something to consume. And there's 5-6 episodes plus prologue plus epilogue. 6 episodes plus the prologue and the epilogue.
Yeah, eight in total, but it's a 6-part series.
Yeah. So
which I filmed with Say Hi Paul. So it's the prologue was on YouTube, so other people may have seen that anyway. We're not going to be unlocking any more content at all on DZTV because obviously people are paying for that content, and so they're paying for the content. But because of these exceptional circumstances, there are a lot of people out there craving 40K content. So what could we do to help? Well, we can give away this campaign for free. Just this one time. I say just this one time. In 4 years' time, if there's the mad zombie epidemic that sweeps across the globe, then we might have to unlock another one.
Yeah, but that's like miles away, right? Not any time now.
Or the fourth coronavirus. COVID-19's the third coronavirus.
Is it?
So yeah.
I thought it was more than 3 already.
I listened to Dr. Something or Other on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's about 1 hour and 10 minutes long, and it's the penultimate one at the time of filming this. And he's like one of the high-up biggie wiggies in America. And he says this is the third coronavirus pandemic. One of them was MERS, and one of them was the SARS original.
We're going to tumble down a rabbit hole now. We probably shouldn't tumble down this rabbit hole.
No,
right.
The point is those first two ones where they had like a 20% and a 30% mortality rate because they killed people really quickly, and suddenly it was easy to clamp down on those pandemics because if you got it, you had a 1 in 3 chance or 1 in 2 chance of dying. So it's easy to bottle them up. It's like Ebola. You remember the Ebola thing?
Yeah.
He was going on to say the reason why these things don't sweep the globe is because if there's a really, really deadly disease, it doesn't transmit very well because you don't wander around and bump into 100 people because you die. Whereas the problem with COVID-19, the third coronavirus, is that you can have it for a week or so and you feel fine. And you can even have it and have no symptoms, right? You can be asymptomatic. That's the main thing they're worried about. Asymptomatic people wandering around all over the place, giving it to everyone. So there's going to be a fourth one. Just when is it? I don't know. Don't eat bats, people. Stop eating bats.
Are you quite done?
I watched Contagion. Did you watch Contagion? There's a movie you should watch.
Quite done? I'm trying to say
Matt Damon. That one's good.
People. There's been some lovely comments from people that have said we're doing a great job. Keep smashing it. Hopefully, and
I'm
one of them said,
a bit stir crazy, locked in here by myself, Liam.
Maeglin said, hopefully you'll be living together next time so you can carry on filming. Hopefully we fucking won't be. That would not be good for me at all. Anyway,
I would so love to live with you. I could wake you up in the morning, make you some tea, proper tea.
Not the way you make
with
it.
Some pop-tops in it.
Thanks very much for joining us on the stream. Like I said, keep an eye on our social media channel. Will you shut the fuck up for a minute? Keep an eye on our social media channels for the updated stream time so we can let you know when we're going to be doing the next one. I would imagine it will be sometime within the next week-ish or so when our shift patterns align because we both still have to go to work. So keep an eye on the relevant channels on Facebook, on Twitch itself on the homepage, and it will update. Otherwise, thanks so much for joining us. Get your questions ready for next time. We'll do a Q&A session, so rather than us chat absolute nonsense about films, Call of Duty, etc., we'll talk about 40k stuff that you ask us. Otherwise, we are going to try currently what
you're going to play Call of Duty tonight with me?
Not tonight, no.
God damn it.
I'll play it soon, not tonight. Anyway, we're going to try and do a raid as well. So we're going to raid Mohawk Minis. Do you know Jay from Mohawk Miniatures? You ever met Jay from Mohawk? I've met Jay from Mohawk Miniatures. He's a legend. Anyway, he's one of 2 channels that's currently live. So what we do normally, when we used to do these raids, we used to come up with a stupid phrase for everyone to jump into Jay's chat and tell him straight away.
Lick my squirrel. Lick my squirrel.
Lick my squirrel.
My squirrel.
So we're gonna raid Mohawk Miniatures. As soon as you go in there, you just have to say Winters says lick my squirrel. That's it. That's all you've got to do.
Lick my squirrel.
He'll lose his mind for the first 5 minutes because he won't know what the fuck's going on. And
don't put the Winters says bit. Just put lick my
Winters
squirrel.
says lick my squirrel. That's your job, guys. That's all you got to do. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you in the next stream. Let's go raiding.